Yo, it's the deal. It's your play upon the Bobby WAJ. Um, Tonight I want to switch gears and I want to talk about something that's a little bit more closer to heart. I want to talk about something that affects over 1 million families, over 2 million parents here in the United States of America. JG, much love and respect. If this is a topic that anybody that's going to watch this live is well versed in, I'd love for y'all to tap in and share your stories or your theories on how we can, in the words of several parents that I am in close communication with, destroy the system. And the system that I'm talking about is Child Protective Services. Many of you are familiar with my story. I have been very transparent and vocal about my stance against Child Protective Service and how it does a major disservice to the Black and brown community as well as Caucasians as well. But African American mothers and fathers are finding themselves in the attention of CPS or involved with CPS at a rate that's higher than Hispanics and Caucasians. So we gonna dive into this topic, man. I got an amazing friend, an amazing woman, a scholar, man. I can go on and on and on talking about this sister, but she's going to join me tonight and she's going to give it to you from her point of view and tell and express why it's very important for us to not reform the system, but to destroy the system. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you all to Miss Hubbard. I'm going to bring her up right now, man. A dear friend of mine, man. Very intellectual sister. Here we go, right here. Sister Hubbard,
Yes, hi, how you doing?
what's the dinner there? How you feeling?
Oh, I'm blessed. I can't complain. Enjoying my Mother's Day.
Yeah, happy
Happy to be
Mother's Day
here.
to you. Happy Mother's
Thank
Day
you.
to you.
I
I want
appreciate it. I appreciate
I
it.
wanted to bring you on here, man, so that we can start spreading awareness and talking about the importance of not reforming the system, but destroying the system and giving parents the compensation. It's not just um financial compensation, but the stress, mental health resources, housing resources, and a slew of other things that I feel parents are entitled to. So I wanted to bring you on here and see if we can just talk about the corruption and the evilness of this system called CPS or DCFS.
Absolutely. I have that great old knowledge, just based on my story and all the hell that I had to go through and watching other parents going through the same thing and as I'm going through. Um, that just made me, try to figure out what could I do? How could I,
Mhm.
help other people? And I don't feel like, that we can reform something that has been uh, broken for years and
Mhm.
years and years.
Okay.
Um, that continues to violate the rights of parents, children, families. Sorry, it's a grip of motorcycle cops on the side of me. Hold on.
Good. Be careful. Be careful.
I mean, not the motorcycle cop, the motorcycle people. It's Sunday, so they out
Right.
having fun day.
Right.
It's nice bikes, but yeah, they are actually, oh, what I was saying. Oh yeah, the system that continues to violate, the parents' uh rights and the children's rights,
Right.
and
For
the
for a
families.
person, my bad, I ain't mean to interject, but for individuals who have never had to fight this corrupt system, what are some of the rights that you would say that they violate of the parents?
They violate the First Amendment right, 14th Amendment rights.
Hmm.
Um, every piece of right that a person has, they have violated.
Okay.
Because we don't know our rights by us being in a low income community. We don't think about our rights. We think these people are telling the truth, are
Right.
being truthful, and especially when we walk into the court. I walked into that court dumb as a doorknob because I wasn't interested or I didn't know. I wasn't taught about my rights. I just knew
Right.
I had rights. And I just
Right.
knew that, you know, that I will be protected by the people that's getting funded, especially a lawyer. I'm trusting this lawyer to go in and hold up my constitutional rights But me experiencing, you know, this heartbreaking, situation, it's just like, I've went through it, and I just seen how the system is working, and it's not designed for us to, do better.
Mm-hmm.
Because I see parents are losing their house. Once they
Mm.
get their kids taken, they're losing their Section 8.
Right.
They're losing their Cal Works or their Cal
Right.
Fresh, their
Right.
SSI that they receive for the kids. They lose everything, and all
Right.
because we're fighting for our children and we're not focused on, okay, what did they do wrong legally? How did
Right.
they violate my rights and things like that? But a system that traffics our children for federal funding, and leaves the countless families devastating, in its wake. It's been, a fighting this battle. I've been fighting this battle for over 10 years.
Right. Right.
It's been exhausting.
Right.
It's been frustrating. It's been
Mm-hmm.
heartbreaking, but it also has been a eye opening. What I've seen in the system is nothing short of modern day form of oppression.
Right. 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 I wanna go back to something that you said. And I just want to warn you right now. Some of the individuals that's going to be jumping in the comments, they may be inconsiderate, disrespectful, and some of them may be coming from a place of ignorance. So don't be too harsh on them. I know you were very patient and understanding, sister. There's one guy said you can't blame the system for you not knowing your own rights. Um,
I
this is
can't
what
blame the system, but I can blame the school system, because the schools are focused on the wrong things. And I think that if they would have implemented us, in their education system, or paperwork or whatnot, teaching us about our rights while we're going through the first through the 12th grade, so that we can be aware, and as we become adults. So they didn't have that in our school, teaching us about our rights. It was
right,
reading, writing, and math, I believe. So,
right.
that's what I'm saying. This is what they need to put in the education system. It should be, we should
Basic
be learning
understanding of the
about our
law
rights.
and rights, right. I want to piggyback off what you said, my amazing sister. Um, See, I was impacted by the same system that has my sister going through what she's going through. There's a system put in place for representatives to come and inform the parents of their rights. So you saying you can't blame a system for you not knowing your own rights. There's individuals that's well aware that we don't know the law, especially as it pertains to child dependency law. Some of us learn about the law from being incarcerated and filing writs of habeas corpus and so on and so forth. But this is a whole different ball game. They have other strategic ways to rob your rights from you and plant individuals around you that doesn't even let you know, hey, you have a right to this, you have a right to that, you have a right to so on and so forth. And then what you got to understand is that one guy is none of us ever expected to be in a battle with dependency court, DCFS, CPSS, CPS. We never planned to be in the system. So we never even thought or imagined, hey, I need to learn child dependency law. I need to know the rules and regulations of that arena because we never imagined that we'd be in this nightmare. So I feel like for you to come on here, man, it's kind of like a reflection of what our oppressors would say. I feel like if you're African American, it's some coon ass Uncle Tom nigga type shit to say. And everybody forgive me for the vulgar language that I'm utilizing, but I'm a little irate. I may not be, what I mean, throwing punches at the camera and screaming and all that and being belligerent and boisterous and whatnot, but it has to be a level of understanding that we give to the parents. There have to be a level of understanding and compassion that we give to these parents that's trying to navigate through this system. But sister, what I was saying, like the individuals that they put around you, attorneys, lawyers, so on and so forth, what position did they play in the initial stage of you fighting for your kids?
They played the position of blocking, me getting my children, they played the position of me not asserting my rights, not upholding my rights in court, not letting me put up evidence,
Okay.
not letting me cross examine the social worker, not allowing me, to fight for my children.
Okay.
You
At
know,
any point, in that phase, that initial phase when you're dealing with all these difficult emotions and trying to navigate through your emotions while trying to better understand this system and trying to get your kids back, just just this imbalance, right? Do you
yeah.
feel at any point your attorneys coerce you into taking any type of deal?
Yes, they said, "Oh, you need to do the classes." I fought for years to protect my children, and
Right.
every time I tried to make my voice heard, I was silenced by the system that benefits from our pain. This isn't just about my family. This is about every family that has been wronged, manipulated, and betrayed by by the very system that was supposed to protect, them, our children. From the exploitation of black and low income families, to the trafficking of children for Title E federal funding.
Mm-hmm.
This system is built on profit, not the welfare of children. It's still, what I'm saying, a Jim Crow reality. And it's time we hold those in power accountable.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I'm standing up for every parent who's had their children taken unjustly.
Right.
I'm standing up for every family that has been torn apart by a broken
Right.
system today. I'm speaking out to expose the lies, the corruption, and the
Right.
harm that's been done.
Right.
My fight
Right.
is not just my own fight.
Right.
It's for all of us who
Right.
have suffered because of this flawed system. It's time for justice. It's time for reparations. It's time for accountability.
Right. Right.
Um, so, this is bigger than just me. It's a
Right.
fight for families across the country.
Right.
Um, so, everything is happening. Yes, children are being raped, molested, drugged, all for federal funding. Parents can't get their kids home. So if you know somebody that is going through DCFS, system, don't look down on them. Help
Right.
them,
Right.
because this is a crooked agency, and I
Right.
don't know why that they are still operating, because this is a nonprofit organization. And
That's
you
heavy.
know kids are being trafficked, they're dying on their watch. So I don't see why we should be reforming anything when children are dying on in their care and custody, because
Mm-hmm.
if it's any other nonprofit organization, open or whatnot, they wouldn't be operating if children are dying under their care and custody. They're becoming homeless. We see all these child welfare children all on figure,
Right.
all
Right.
on drugs, lost,
Right.
just lost because the system has failed them. They don't care. They just another paycheck, and it's just getting way out of hand,
Right.
to the point where these people in these courts lost their minds, especially the Los Angeles Dependency um, lawyers and Children's Law Center. They do not advise parents of their rights.
Right.
They don't, tell the parents that they have a right to cross-examine the social
Mm-hmm.
workers. They tell the parents, they don't tell the parents anything. They just tell them, oh, well, you just have to do these classes and things like that. So I got to doing the classes,
Mm-hmm.
and then I noticed every time I got to finish doing the classes, they would tell me to restart the classes over.
I went through the same thing. Right.
So I thought about it. I said, wait, these too many years going by. What the hell is going on?
Right.
And why am I not getting my children? And they kept just lying to me and lying to me. And knowing that they didn't have any evidence to prove that, I was a marijuana abuser. It's plenty of people that I have sat here and watched get their children brat
Mm-hmm.
that was doing methamphetamine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so smoking marijuana is not hurting nobody, not killing nobody. I'm not standing on no corner looking at the ground at one piece apart.
Right. Right.
So I try to navigate through this system, and it's very stressful for parents.
Right.
So, I need parent people to, our community to come together and stop these people from trafficking in our children for federal funding. You know, stop railroading our communities. Stop coming in our communities, our low income communities, because they're coming in our low income communities. Watts, all our low income communities. It doesn't matter
Hmm.
if you're Asian, black, white, green, purple. Only thing they see is green.
Right. Right.
And the
This is
longer
an
they keep the case open, the more federal funding they get.
funding they get. Right. This is an amazing topic. I got a friend named Baby Love Substance who just joined, and her and I have been trying to find a topic that we can both mutually come to an agreement on that can potentially unify African Americans and Chicano Americans. Baby Love, what's the deal?
Hi, how are you? Yeah, I'm sorry to hear you're going through that situation. I had that running. I had my running with CPS back in 2007. I think it was. My son, my youngest was only 6 months old. Um, and they came in. It was due to domestic violence, whatever. But my kids were far away from it. I had my two younger children with me. My oldest was at my parents' home. Um, so they took it upon themselves to come and grab my little ones, the two small ones, and then they went to my mom's house and they took my oldest from my parents' home.
Right.
So they actually and it was illegal. The way they carry themselves is so illegal.
Right.
Right. So then I go to a lawyer and I'm trying to talk to him. He's like, unless you have $10,000 to give me now, you're pretty much fucked. That's
That's
what
what
he told me. The
that's what
lawyer
the
told me.
private. Right. 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 Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much fucked, right? So it's like it feels like you're hopeless. It's a hopeless situation at the moment, you know.
Right.
They do this. It's for profit for them, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And the more you try to combat it, the more you try to say that this and this happened. Oh, now you're being defensive. You need to take
Mm,
anger
right.
management classes, or you
Right.
need to do this.
Right.
It's a setup. It's a fucked up setup, to be honest with you.
Right.
Um, and it's like they go based on a report, and in my case it was a false report, you know
Right. Right.
so they don't really investigate shit. They just, to them, like she said, it's all about money, it's all about property,
Right.
the one thing that people don't know is that we do have rights when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm.
um when they knock on your door, you don't have to let them in.
Right.
You don't have to let them in. You don't have to um engage with them at all, unless they have a signed warrant. they're,
Right.
they're not allowed to go into your home,
Right.
you know and it's unfortunate, and like she said, they do target our communities. Why? Because we don't know our laws, we don't know our rights,
And we
that's
don't
why.
have money.
And we don't have money, and it's
Right.
just not, it's not just the money, it's that we're not educated enough to know when to put a stop to it,
Right.
you know
Right.
um
And
yeah,
we
my
can't afford attorneys either, and they know that we
yeah,
can't afford attorneys to fight them.
exactly.
So that's why I had to, do something different and try to learn the law and educate myself. I started, checking in school for administrative criminal law and justice, because like
Hmm.
like literally they came to my house more than my family for 10, 8 years,
But
and until I got sick of it and I
I'll
started
tell you
hitting
what.
them with the law
Yeah, I'll
and
tell
my
you what,
rights.
the schools play into it as well. You
Right.
know, they play into it as well. It's all tied in, and it's very important. Like you're educating yourself. You're trying to pick up on the skills, like how to combat it. There are a few lawyers that I've been noticing lately that do help out families with those kind of situations. Luckily that there's conscious people out there that are trying to help, because look, we had that case with the young boy, Gabriel
Gabriel Hernandez.
Hernandez. There we go.
Rest in peace to him. Right. Right. Right.
Rest
Right.
in peace. Exactly. That should have never happened. That
Right.
should have never happened. And if they were really trying to help people, how did that happen? Why did that happen? You know,
Right.
it's an unfortunate situation, but if you're not doing wrong, don't give way to it. Just shut them down. Unless they take you
Right.
to court. Give me one
Right.
second.
Yes, indeed. Take your time. While they're doing their thing, I want to just real briefly just talk about my situation when they came and they unconstitutionally kidnapped my kids, because basically that's what they did. They had an attorney and a representative of the courts to take me into a room, and they intimidated me. They coerced me into taking the deal by making me believe that if I did not take this deal right then and there at that date and that time, that I lose my kids for forever.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly, Bobby. That's exactly what they did to me. They said if I kept communications with my children's father, I would lose
mhm,
my kids forever. You know,
right,
so they had me sign papers saying that that I agreed to staying away from him and doing shit like that. When they really didn't know the situation. You get me?
right,
They exactly. It's coercion what they do, and they
hmm.
they make you do all this bullshit. It's disgusting how they carry themselves. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but it's a
No,
very
it's all
subject.
good because
Yeah.
these are the different components that need to be exposed. Because even in my situation, they made me go down. They made me file for sole custody of my kids. They made me sign a contract saying that I wouldn't interact or have my kids around their mother and so on and so forth. So what that does is off top create division in between the family whole. That
It breaks the
already,
family.
yeah, it breaks the family in half. Like, you feel what I'm saying? But the
Hmm.
legal representatives who are put in a position to assist us and help us, myself and Ray Nisha as well, we've been following the paper. And we've been, well, the paper, the finances and whatnot, and we have been seeing that they are all up under the same umbrella and that they're all on the same team. So as soon as that lawyer comes and talk to you, just know, like how you said, the other attorney that you was seeking counsel from told you that if you don't got $10,000, you're pretty much fucked, because he knows that the odds is against you. How can we win in these type of situations when we come from destitute communities? They don't teach us about the basics of law. They don't teach us none of these things that we're going to be facing and experience when we go into dependency court. So, like, what can we do? Like, how do we properly navigate or put on a fight or a defense with a system to where you're already in a kangaroo court and everybody in the court knows that it's a circus show, knows that
Yeah,
it's a game, but you.
exactly, exactly. And you know what's worse? That they intimidate you by saying, "Oh, we have private investigators on you 24/7. We have people
Mm-hmm.
on." Especially when it comes to your children, right? What do? You try the most to protect your children, you
Right.
know, and the way they fuck it's a scary situation, just
Right.
to
And
do.
and
Yeah.
it puts you in a constant state of paranoia. Once you're
Yes.
in a paranoid and heightened sense of a hypervigilance, state of awareness, it creates PTSD. So
Yep.
now it's affecting you mentally. Now it's affecting you emotionally. So it's a
Yes.
cold system, man, that a lot of people find themselves going into, but they never really recover from.
Exactly. And I'll tell you what too. It's a system that they create, right? So after this is how I seen it, because I seen it in my family, right? They take you to CPS. Now you're in the system. Your children are in the system, right? What happens
Mhm.
next? They have you pretty much on record, right, that you're a troubled child. What
Mhm.
happens? Your next step is what? Juvenile hall. After juvenile hall, what is jail, then prison. You know,
Right.
it follows you through life, and it's like they give these children no chance of becoming like regular or normal citizens in society, because they've already been traumatized. You know?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. That's what my daughter is 15 years old. She was 14. She had a baby by a 22-year-old man while
Mm.
in foster care, and DCFS did
wow.
nothing. Her attorney, Elizabeth Genotowski, she never did anything. She covered it up. Stephen
Mm.
Marpet, he covered it up.
Yeah.
um
See, that right
Everybody
there
is
is
covering
illegal.
it up.
Yeah,
even
yeah.
the police
Wow,
even the
wow.
police, the sheriff's department on Imperial and Normandy told me that they don't have the victim, but I said that this is statutory rape.
It is.
So at
Oh
the
my
end of the
god,
day, the law is the law.
my god.
So I went
I'm
and
sorry
did
for that.
my investigation and ended up
Okay.
on a high speed chase with this young man,
Mm.
um ready to crash, over my
Right.
child. And I told him, I said, don't you know this is statutory rape? And he just looked at me like, F what you talking about. And I just, I had to think, before I react. But I can't put my trust in the system because they're not helping the situation. They wants my daughter to go out there and get pregnant, um,
Mm.
and be vulnerable. She started cutting her arms, smoking
Right.
marijuana.
Right.
Yeah, they don't care once they're in the system, and these foster parents, they think they're doing a good job, or they're doing anybody a favor. When I remember
Absolutely.
when they took my kids, I called I wasn't supposed to get her number, but I got her number, right? And I called her, and I would call my kids every day, and then she'd say, you know what, why don't you just give up? She's like, you know that you're never getting your kids back, and you never see them. Just stop creating them false hopes. She told me, right?
Mm,
And I was like, you know what, you freaking. And I went off on her and go, you know what, you don't tell me when I'm gonna get my children back, and you'll see, I'll get them back by next week. And sure enough, I got my kids right away.
right,
But it's
Yeah,
it's
the
like,
social worker told me that
yeah,
too.
they're part of it.
Hmm. Yep. The longer they keep these children out the home, the more funding and money they get to keep the children away from the parents.
Yeah.
right.
Parents are
Do
not
you know? Do you
allowed
know
to
how
put up
much
a
they get paid?
defense.
Yeah. Do you know
Catherine,
how
I
much they
got you
get
right
paid?
now.
They
Millions
get
and
paid about
millions.
$800 per child. I mean, that was back in
No,
2007. Eight
yeah, they
hundred
get
dollars per
paid
child.
way more than that. And see,
Now,
what they
see,
created was a rate system. If your children is
yep.
D-rate, they get upwards of 2,200 per child.
Fuck.
So
You
we have
see?
another guest that I want to bring in. If you amazing ladies don't mind, this is Miss
Right.
Catherine Thomas that would like to weigh in upon tonight's topic. Here we go, Catherine. You're live.
Oh, hi. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for
Good
Yeah.
having
evening.
me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure what this is about, but I'm an impacted grandmother
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
great.
in Northern California.
Okay.
In 2012, my infant grandson was born addicted.
Mm-hmm.
I fought to protect him. Unfortunately, my daughter was 23 years old. She was an adult on her own. There wasn't anything I could do,
Right.
but she was pregnant and addicted to heroin and homeless. So I was trying to intervene as a grandparent to either, do kind of like what they did to Britney Spears and get a conservatorship over her and order her to a rehab
Right.
or a jail until my grandson was born safely. And I went all the way to the Capitol and I couldn't get any help.
Right.
So he was born January 12th, or excuse me, January 3rd, 2012, addicted to heroin. The parents surrendered him to my care and custody the day he was born, which was January 3rd,
Right.
2012. So I was with him every day in the hospital doing his therapy and bonding with him and loving him and just fully embraced in everything about him. Well, he was treated and weaned with morphine.
Mm.
So, because I had the permission to speak to his doctors and his care and all that, I could tell that he was getting better because the morphine was getting lower and lower and lower.
Right.
So I asked the hospital, I said, it's about time that he's going to get to come home. And they said, yes, ma'am, yes. Well, about 2 weeks before that would have happened, CPS then came into the hospital and they held what was called a team decision making meeting.
Okay.
And I am a paralegal. I was a federal public servant for Social Security for 12 years and a registered process server for 8 years.
Right.
So both my hands are registered with the FBI. So when they held this meeting, they started breaking down these allegations about my daughter. And I said, excuse me, but thank you. Thank you for being here. I'm his maternal grandmother and I'm going to raise him.
Right.
And they immediately spoke up, said, ma'am, if you don't be quiet, we're going to make you leave the room. And I said, I kind of bit my tongue. Again, I know my constitutional rights.
Right.
I know all that, right? And I'm fully
Mm-hmm.
bonded with this little baby.
Right.
And so I bit my tongue. I let them go on with their allegations. And then there was an allegation that was not true. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to interject again. The statements you're making are lies. And
Right.
if you continue, I'm going to have to sue this agency, take this agency to court because I'm going to raise my grandson.
Right.
Meeting goes on and then it ends. And then about 5 days later, I get a letter in the mail saying that they denied me placement and that they were taking jurisdiction of my infant grandson. The judge took their hearsay fraudulent testimony and granted them jurisdiction.
Wow.
In a week they came to take him and
I'm sorry to hear that.
they ripped him from my arms. I appealed it for 3 years and I lost.
Mm.
And he was adopted out closed. He's 13 now.
Right.
In 2021, that very same social worker because this is all I do now. It's my calling.
Right.
And I help other people. 2021, I found a case in this same county. Same social worker was sued and fired for lying to take another family's child.
Wow.
So as of right now, 2025, I'm getting ready to go back in and sue my county under extrinsic fraud.
Right. That's right.
And I'm hoping I'll win.
I pray
But
you will.
that's our story.
Right. Right. I appreciate you from sharing. If it's anything that I can do, please contact me. My number is on my page. If it's anything that I can do within my ring and within my means, please contact me. I'm here for you. You're not alone.
Thank you. And
Yes,
and
ma'am.
and and pray that the Lord gives me the right path and the direction, and that there's absolutely no way they can dismiss it.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. We appreciate you. Oh man, this is this
Horrible.
is
It's
this is
horrible.
horrible. Right.
This is Rico, you guys. I mean, I'm a national advocate, activist now. This
Right.
is not just California. This is every state this is
Right.
happening in.
Right.
And it's Rico. If there's any way that we can figure out, all of us people together, to file a Rico, find a prosecutor that's willing to take it, they're done.
Right. I want to stay in close communication with you. I don't know if you know me, but I'm Bobby A. Jones. I have fought for 10 years to get custody of my kids, and I was up against the ringer. But I like to stay in communication with you. Ray. Ray, you
Ray,
there?
Ray's my sister.
Oh well, yeah. We on a winning team. We
Her,
good. We
her,
got
her,
this.
her, and I've been fighting the whole time together.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Oh yeah, we on a winning team then. We
A-
blessed by the best.
Amen, honey. And
Yes, ma'am.
and we follow the Lord. We stand with the Lord. We stay in the faith with the Lord and what the Lord's word says. This is evil. It's
Right.
corrupt, and
It
He's going
is.
to stand with us.
Right.
He's standing
Hallelujah.
with us. We're called. We're
Right.
called to do this, brother.
Yes, ma'am. We got this.
Amen.
Amen. Is it anybody else that would like to chime in about this heartbreaking system? Anybody have anything to say? It is a corrupt, unfair system, and we have to spread awareness. If you have experienced this system, if you have been a part of it, whether it's a child, whether it's a parent, a caregiver, we need to sound off so that we can spread awareness. Let's not all speak at once. I'm just playing, man. I know it's a serious situation, but sometimes we gotta laugh to keep from crying, man, because this system is breaking families, it's destroying families.
Amen. And then if we, like I said, if this continues, I'm going to sue this agency. And then they deny me, saying I threatened a worker. I didn't threaten a worker.
Right, right. That's what they typically do. I went through
It,
the same thing.
they gaslight you.
Most definitely. It's a lot of manipulation tactics that goes in to rob us of our sanity. Most definitely. They a lot of gaslighting. Yeah, this is true. It's a horrible system and we got to find a way to destroy it.
Well,
Absolutely.
this is the way. Is the more that we talk, the more it gets exposed. And I've been in this movement, like I said, 13 years, and I can tell you recently, I'm discerning it's about to blow up.
Right.
It's
I believe
about to
that. I
blow up.
believe that.
Especially we got this Doge committee. I mean, thousands of us wrote into that committee. They
Right.
can't ignore all of us.
Right. Brother Morris. Where you go? Where you go, Brother Morris? Don't leave. I tried to click in Brother Morris, but I think he left. Come back. Please
Oh
join the
yeah.
conversation.
Absolutely. And then we need to, build nonprofits organization that actually is helping the community.
Right.
Um, because I've ran into so many nonprofits trying to get help, but nobody wanted to touch this case because it's just so corrupt from the start to the end. Um, you have no choice but to figure out yourself and navigate and research and do the law to be able to talk their language and
Right.
talk their talk. because they know that we are alone when we walk into these courtrooms, and they expect us parents to come by ourselves and have us in this room, have our backs against the walls. Of course we're going to do anything for our children to get our children home. um,
Right.
you know and I've done that, you know um, but it wasn't good enough
Right.
for this commissioner. Everything that I've done, it wasn't good enough. It's still not good enough. It caused a lot of trauma, a lot of pain,
Mm-hmm.
till this day. And I will, we will never, you know, get over this. We will never forget, So, for those out there that don't believe it or can't believe it, just think about it for one moment.
Right.
Just close your eyes and imagine if that was your sister, your brother, your niece, your nephew
Right.
going through this system and trying to navigate it, and you over there judging this person when you don't even know what the heck they got going on and what they're doing in the background. It's a playbook
Right. It's
that
a
they got,
playbook.
and there are rules that they should follow, especially these attorneys, the Children's Law Center and the Los Angeles dependency lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
They have to abide by their contracts. They have contracts. They're a nonprofit organization, so
Right.
nobody is above the law. We just have to know the law, and we just have to let them know that we know the law. But there's no reform in a system that has been broken, because everybody, you know, in power or in position is, the system is the system, or the system is broken. I'm tired of hearing that, you know,
Right.
because it's not helping the public, it's not helping the people. How about the money that they're pouring into the communities? They need to pour into the families. They need to pour into the mothers,
Right.
the fathers, the single fathers out here, the
Right.
single mothers. Help them buy
Right.
a washer and dryer. Help them buy a house. Help them buy a car. They're pulling our children up out of our homes and saying that they have behavioral problems to try
And
to
they
put them
don't.
on all these medications and not tell us parents. They are having court hearings without our notice. They
Right.
are deliberately having us miss these court hearings so that we're not able to fight, and they'll just make it seem like we didn't show up or make it seem like we showed up. But
Right.
we are okay with them violating our rights and railroading us.
Right.
I seen them give a woman a paper to waive her rights. They never gave me a paper to waive my rights because they knew that I was too intelligent, and I wasn't going to sign no waiver of rights. But they knew that she was not going to uh, refuse it because she had a learning
Mm.
disability,
Right.
and she signed it, and she brought the form to me, and I said, hold up, waiver of rights, we not waiving no rights over here,
Right.
she had a learning disability again, and she signed the form, and she never got her kids back, but she was able to keep one kid. So they're
Mm-hmm.
making mothers and fathers choose between their children on how many kids come home. Oh, you can get this kid because this kid
Yeah.
ran away and this kid has mental health issues, and the two little kids can stay where they at and be getting guardianship or be adopted, to
Right. Right.
strangers. They're
Right.
not even letting the kids go to the families. So,
Right.
I think that this needs to be shut down. They don't need no more federal funding. They're not turning in the invoices,
Mm-hmm.
of the work that the lawyers are completing.
Right.
Their invoices has been missing. But this is just a repeat from 1994, because this is documented in
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
the legislative digest, that social workers were filing perjury petitions, and
Right.
judges were rubber stamping perjury, and
Right.
parents were not allowed to cross-examine their accuser.
Social.
They were
Yeah.
not allowed to
Right.
put up evidence. So these things are still going on to this day, even though they had that big smackdown meeting. It just needs to be shut down, because there's no reforming something that has been broken, and that is killing our children, that is drugging our children, that is
Mm-hmm.
coming into our communities and not helping the mothers or the parents, get housing, get food, get cars, get washer and dryers. Like, these are the things that we need when y'all come into our lives, you know.
Right. Right.
We don't see any of that. Only person that sees that money is the foster parent and CPS and their supervisors, and the LA Board of Supervisors is
All their
approving their
contractors.
budget.
Right.
Yeah. And you guys are aware of the big thing in Arizona tomorrow, right?
No, no. Tell us about it.
We all need to be on that call. Rainisha, you haven't shared any of that?
I was about to share they are having a meeting, I guess a live testimony hearing regarding children's services. I read into it. It was about, I think, a young lady passing away in one of the foster homes or something like that, and they are doing an investigation, a live testimony. I was trying to see how we can speak, because they said that they, encourage
Yeah,
speaker to come. They
it's
have a
in the
Zoom link
link. I'll try
on.
to find it right now while we're on this call.
Okay, okay.
Because
So,
tomorrow's a big
yeah,
day
they said
because
it can go live.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's basically like a congressional hearing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
We need to be a part
essentially,
of that.
I don't care if it's just regarding Arizona. I'm calling in and saying, guess what, people? Arizona ain't your only
California,
problem.
we stand with
Right.
them. We
Arizona ain't
stand
your
with
Exactly.
only
them.
problem. This is national, folks.
Right.
Absolutely. It's happening around the world. They're going into people's homes and trafficking children, taking them up out of their homes, railroading parents, taking children from schools without a warrant.
Right.
Like, this is real. This is serious, you know. Um, if it ain't happened to you, it's happening. And they are they have failed all the children in the world. I'm
Right.
speaking to mothers that has their children has been raped, and she's going up to Martin Luther King Hospital telling them that she was raped, and no one is doing anything about it to
Right.
help
I heard about
this
that. I heard about
16-year-old
that.
little girl,
Right.
just as well
Right.
as my daughter. So it's many things that's going on, and everybody that is contracted is working with them. That's what I feel. um, they tried to get me for failure to thrive for my 4-year-old son, but I'm the only one
Mm-hmm.
taking him to the doctor, and that was untrue. And they continue to lie. So if you don't, know your rights, that's how they get over on us. And
Right.
it's just lie after lie, perjury after perjury, and they think they're untouchable.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They most definitely do. I went through something that you had spoke upon. One of my kids was severely beaten and suffered other forms of trauma while in the custody of DCFS. And this particular child had had enough. Being resourceful and being tired, this particular child found its way out to Las Vegas and gave me a call in the middle of the morning and said, "Dad, can you come get me?" I'm like, "Man, what you mean? Can I come get you?" He, this child was like, "I'm out here in Las Vegas. Can you come pick me up from the bus station?" I'm thinking he playing because he was a practical jokester. You know what I mean? He did a lot of pranks and all this and all that. But my child had a rent away from that abusive and wicked system and found his way out here. DCFS told me, "You know what, Mr. Jones? You can keep him if you allow us to keep these two that's in the system." And I said, "No way, Jose. What makes me qualified to provide regular quality care to this child, but makes me unfit to do the same with my other two children?" I told him, "No way. We're not going to do that."
Amen.
Yeah. So I know exactly what you're talking about when they try to barter our children. We keep these ones, you keep that one, and it's crazy. And imagine how that would negatively affect the other children that's in custody. Oh, mama or daddy, he could come or she could come and be with you, but what about us?
Right.
That makes the child feel like mama or daddy didn't gave up on it, and this other child has more importance than they do, and that it's a lot of picking and choosing when that's not the case. It's this corrupt system that's doing that to these children and to these families.
That's right. I'm gonna drop that in the chat.
Please do, please do, please do. I don't know what your amazing ladies' schedule is, but if possible, I would love to do this with you all at a minimum once a month. Maximum we can do it every Sunday if you ladies have the availability. I love to continue to come and address this topic and spread awareness and get more people's aboard of resisting this corrupt system.
Yeah. I don't know
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank
if
you
you
as well.
if you've heard about Audra. She's out of San Diego.
I'm
Um,
afraid not.
she's an advocate as well, but she's been going. She don't even have a CPS case. I think she was either in the system when she was younger or something. But every Sunday night at 4 o'clock, she does a meeting, and I think her thing's called Eye of the Storm.
Eye of the storm. Okay.
So, because what I try to do is link us all together. Like we should meet like you said, at least once a month, and then
Right.
all of us should get on that Sunday night call because this we're doing the same thing.
Right. That's
So
true.
the more of us that come together, the better off it is. My thing is I don't care who takes it down. It just needs to be taken down.
Right.
This ain't about none of us becoming Hollywood or
Right.
nothing like that.
Right.
This is about saving children and
Right.
stopping a corrupt system.
Right. I agree.
The
I agree.
legislators need to shut it down. You know, they have the power, they are aware of the situation, and they need to stop acting oblivious. And you know, because even Ray Charles can see through this shit that, you know,
Yeah.
that they're trafficking children. Look at
I
the
mean,
young lady, Allie Carter. Allie Carter on YouTube, she's talking about she was trafficked from Riverside CPS into the elite parties,
Right.
you know, as party
Wow.
favors. Google her up. You know, her story is out there. She's telling on all these big old celebrities, you know, all these stars, everybody that we listen to, and we looking up to these people. These people are doing horrible things to these kids. You know, Oprah got a school over there in Africa, got them
yeah.
kids. You know, all these children are coming up missing. They got a 1 month old missing, ran away. They got a 2 month old
Wow.
ran away. How could a 2 month old run
How?
away? They can't
Right.
even fend for themselves.
This is insane.
At this point, they playing with our intelligence. They're playing on our tops.
Yeah. They're playing with the wrong people.
Right.
Their
They
their
playing
game
with
is
children,
their game
and
is about to
when
end.
it's, yeah, they're playing with children, and when you're playing with children, there shouldn't be no weight on justice. When children are raped in the system, there shouldn't be no rape. I mean, no
Right.
wait time to be
Right.
repaid, you know, and get their reparations. You know, they should not have to wait. So to the LA Board of Supervisors, should nobody have to wait all these years just to get paid out for that $4 billion lawsuit, them being
Mm.
sexually
Preach.
abused?
Preach,
They
sister.
should
Preach.
nobody have to wait for that, because the pain and the hurt is already done.
It's
So you
already
making
done.
these babies wait, you know what I'm saying? These adults, these people, that's a part of them that you will never get back.
Right.
So we demanding that they get paid immediately, because I'm watching y'all. I have been watching the LA Board of Supervisors agenda for 11 years, and I see that they spitting out money like it ain't nothing.
Right.
That's right.
So pay these people, pay the ladies, and pay the babies.
Right.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we don't deserve this. You guys were negligent. There is no covering this crap up. These
No
kids
more.
have suffered long enough. Enough is enough. And we won't
Amen.
stop, and we won't
Right.
shut up.
Right. No, we will not.
Nope.
Sorry, and I'm very passionate for our people and about our people and about our children, most importantly, because
Right.
people forget the conversation is about the children, saving the
About the
children,
children. Right.
making sure the children don't get raped by an adult
Well,
that is just disgusting.
Right.
and it's our right to due process. I mean,
Yeah.
they're violating our constitutional rights.
Oh, they don't care about that right now. They're not caring
Amen.
about that. You know,
Nope, they don't.
they've already
Legislative, we just legislators. all of y'all in seats, we want y'all to know that no one is following the law in California and any other law in these dependency cases, in these court cases. There are no trials on the merits.
No,
There's
I,
none.
I,
Parents
I
are
tell
not
Well,
you, I
allowed to
tell
put up
you,
evidence.
I tell you what the whole root cause
And
of
if
it
I'm
is.
lying, and
It's
if
gonna
I'm lying, sue me.
it's
If
it's
I'm
it's
lying,
gonna come
sue
down.
me.
It's gonna come down to free labor, right? So they're trying to mass incarcerate all of our people, not just my people, not just your people, everybody, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
once you lose, like the habeas corpus is trying to suspend it. Why? Because once they suspend that, we don't have no right to say anything.
that's
Right.
So
right.
they could pretty much incarcerate anybody for even stealing a chocolate bar. So what
Yep,
what does that do? Free labor,
And
right?
even in
It's free
appeals
labor.
courts,
yep,
appeals courts are writing appeal cases for parents. They are using a Phoenix H brief saying that the lower court was correct and basically f off, and we got your kids, and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah,
yeah.
they hold them hostage. That's what it is, a hostage
That that's
situation.
what my
And
attorney told
with
me.
the
Yep,
I'm not sure who the girl was that mentioned the habeas corpus, but that's a very powerful document, and
it
Right.
they're not even working.
No.
Right.
So, you know, one guy I was talking to tonight on the earlier call is um they're all saying we need to file what's called a writ of mandamus, or
Mm.
writ
It's
writ of
Rudy. It's Rudy
writ
from the Tootie. It's
writ
corrupt
writ
from the
of
Rudy to the
writ of
Tootie.
centauria.
Yeah,
So
listen, at the end of the day, all of that, it sounds great. It sounds like powerful things, right?
yeah,
But unless you are in a certain position or certain status, right? If you have the money to um actually know what's really going on, it doesn't matter. We could have a
right.
habeas corpus, we could have all these mandates, all these rights. It doesn't matter because at the end of the day, it's them. It's the powerful people.
It's
You
because
know?
they're so powerful because
Yeah.
of that federal funding. They're so
Right.
powerful because of that federal funding. That's their mask.
Right.
Yeah, see, and this is what I've been telling you, Bobby. Right, the
Mm-hmm.
more division that we have between us, and I'm glad that it's four different ethnicities here, right? I
Right.
know the lady next to me, she's obviously white. You know, are
Me,
you white?
She's not white.
What are you? I
I'm
see
No, I'm
what
just
black.
you.
playing.
Hey,
But yeah,
I'm
but I'm
white.
saying,
one the
I'm
same.
white.
yeah,
I'm
but I'm
black.
saying,
I'm green. I'm
yeah,
yellow.
but
I'm
that's what I'm saying.
I'm
human.
all of
Like,
you.
exactly, that's what I'm trying to get to. You know what I mean? I'm
Right.
trying to get to. We're all, no matter what shade of color we are, we're all human, right? We're a human
Right.
race,
And we're
and
against the government. It's them
yes,
against us.
and
Now
we need
you
to
gonna
stand
get
up as
us
that.
targeted and hurt saying that just so blatant.
No, I didn't try to be. I'm not trying to be offensive or anything like
No,
that.
not you. She said we're against the government.
No, but I mean, in reality, it's not even the government because I mean, there are bodies in the government that are trying to help us. It's the elite. It's
Yeah.
like that are trying
It's
to
Well,
the
I
fucking
mean, you
really.
elite.
want to
It's
go
the
deep.
government. It's the
You want to
people
go
that work
deep.
for them.
It's the Soros DAs. Okay.
Hmm.
It's Soros
I'm gonna
and
go at
his
Blackstone, but
DAs.
okay. I don't know who it is. I don't know who's really running the show, but it's a minority against a majority, and
Right.
unless we all come together, no matter what shade of color we are, no matter what fucking politics we carry, we need to come together against it, because if
That's
not, then
Right.
it.
what's going to happen?
Amen.
Yeah.
And with that said, everyone on this call tonight, are we California?
Yes.
I'm from California, but I reside in Las Vegas.
Okay, but hear me out for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been doing this for 13 years. I'm in over 60 groups with
Right.
that CPS corruption, parental alienation, probate. It's all gamut. It's not just dependency, juvenile dependency court. But since we got an audience of California, what we need to start working on is what other states are doing, and they're going to the legislature
Right.
in Sacramento.
Right.
That's what we could start working on in our little group, is we need to get a couple of us that go up there and speak to the
Right.
California legislature.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what, my oldest son, he's 27 now. um he when he was up, fuck, I hate this part because
I'm sorry.
yeah, it makes me emotional, but he's
Yeah,
27 years old, and I've noticed the impact that it caused him, the trauma that it caused him, right?
Right.
Um, he suffers from depression, PTSD, everything that you want to see. He's not in a good state of mind. In and
Yeah.
out of prison, in and out of prison. It's it's fucking heartbreaking because I know
Right.
that he was once that innocent little boy who used to play football and used to fucking, he was an all-star,
Right.
Yeah.
um and
I got
that
my
it,
boy too.
Well,
yeah,
let's pray for them because we
Absolutely.
need to get them back under God.
Right.
yes, definitely, but
And
the the struggle's real, and it needs to fucking stop. It
It
needs to
does.
stop.
Absolutely. And the
Uh,
after effect, when we get
yes,
our kids back, they have mental health issues,
yes.
true.
behavior issues, because
True.
that's what I'm dealing with my son. They lying, they stealing,
Well, that's an implementation of the government, right? Because they cause this trauma on them, knowing that this is going to affect them,
Long term.
emotionally. Yeah,
Right.
long term, emotionally. What do they make criminals out of them? Is
yeah,
Yeah.
what they fucking
and then
do.
the mental health services,
Yeah,
Medi-Cal does not cover, you know, massage therapy, trauma
Right.
release therapy, boxing
Right.
therapy, things that could potentially help the child, because kids don't want to just sit on a computer or sit in front of a person and just talk about stuff. Because
yeah,
my son is over it, talking for a year. So I said, well, let's try something else. Let's implant this.
yeah.
His licensed clinical social worker said, well, I don't know, how much that's going to cost. I said, well, send me the bill,
Right,
because we're going to figure it out, because in order for us to heal properly, we have to get justice, and
Right.
we have to get this trauma released from our
but
bodies.
look, it's gonna be so difficult, especially with all the cuts that are going on.
Hmm.
Fuck. It's like it seems like we're going into really dark times. And
We
so
Yeah.
are. We
it's
are.
gonna take a body of just regular common people like you and I, what I mean, to
That's right.
get
A-
together and really create groups of support, have the support and stop going at each other for stupid shit,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah,
absolutely, because that bull crap don't matter. What really
no.
matters is our children are being
Our
snatched up
fu-
out of our homes,
it's a
trafficked in federal
we,
funding.
yeah, we're gonna create our future, and if we sit back and just let shit happen, that future's gonna come out of our hands.
That's true.
We're gonna lose everything.
And
So
that's
yeah,
why I built a coalition of parents nationwide, due to me going to nonprofits, trying to have attorneys represent me, trying to have somebody, become my support system and help me, and not, be afraid. But they couldn't really even help because they were getting, funding, through DCFS. So
Right.
I'm building my nonprofit to where I'm going to make sure that I actually help my parents and my clients,
yeah.
through the dependency court cases. But
But look at
our movement is to just shut it down, because
yeah,
they're still
let's
ignoring
start
it.
let's start with our neighbors, right? Let's reach out to our neighbors, and you, if you see something, call it out, right? And now I don't want to be sound hypocritical, because I mean I used to slang, I used to do all this stuff, right? But to raise my kids and all this shit. But if we could stop, because that's where the damage comes from, right? The drugs in our own communities are destroying our families as well, right? And let's say you could blame whoever the fuck it is who's bringing drugs into the community, but we have the distributors.
Government.
Yeah, exactly. And we have people who distribute, right? Because it's benefit. Like everything about the United States is about money,
Right.
capitalism. So try to fucking like raise our kids to fucking stay away from it, steer away from it. Show more support to our children, not just sit them in front of a tablet, not just fucking, tell them here like this is what you're gonna learn from TV or watch TV or whatever the fuck it is. We need to spend time more time, more quality time with our children. You know,
Right.
show them
Right.
that we love them, that we support them, and not allow for those that evil to come into their lives as well, because it starts there. It starts at home.
Yeah,
So
it does. It
yeah,
really does. And they
I,
need to.
I I I partially agree with the both of you saying that it started home. Yes, but we can't we cannot overlook the influence that the community has upon the
definitely.
child as well. Because you can have your child on a straight and narrow, but
Yeah,
when he gets out there and it faces the temptations of the real life and the commercialization and glamorizing of sin and perverted behaviors and sexual craziness and whatnot, that can be alluring to a child. Sometimes when we try to strengthen or structure our family too tight, what it does, it creates resistance within the child, because it's like, I want to experience what Darla or Jennifer or whoever is experiencing down the street. You feel what I'm saying? I wanna feel like I'm grown before I am actually grown. I want to be able to show my boobs, or if it's a guy, I want to be able to have sex and smoke cigarettes and engage in all these behaviors that my family is telling me that I can't partake in. So it's a
Exactly.
multifaceted thing because we can keep our kids sheltered, we can raise them in school, we can raise them in a church, we can do all this, but until we find a way that we can minimize the temptation from society,
Yeah.
we're going to be at an uphill battle because they're spending billions upon billions of dollars to entice these kids to walk in the ways and the path of sin.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
the
okay.
thing.
But
Indoctrination.
Indoctrination, right?
exactly, exactly. But
See,
look at. I remember when I was growing up, we used to have like the cadets program. We used to have like the stars program at the sheriff
Yes.
station. We used to have all these little things that would keep after school programs, right? That used to keep the kids busy, like fucking doing something. Now it's like they cut off those funds too, where like kids
Yeah.
have no resources. They have nowhere to go. You know what I mean? To like
And I went down there. I
yeah,
remember I was going down there at the beginning of my case. We were fighting for community centers for in the communities to keep the kids out of the schools, out of the gangs. But the LA Board of Supervisors did not want to give this black woman, grants or funding to build these great things. And at that time, Mark Ridley Thomas was in office. So we
a
go up there
criminal,
and
a
we speak
snake,
about it.
right? The thing is, and this is just my personal perception of it all, right? Being that a lot of us come from these destitute communities, we don't have an abundance of resources, outlets, and services that can cater to us, keeping our kids on a straight and narrow and being community orientated in a positive way. If we have money to where we can go to Greece for 2 or 3 months and allow our kids to experience what life in Greece is about, if we can take our kids to Japan like the rich folks and allow them to travel the world, they wouldn't be so inclined to conform to the ways of society because they're experiencing something that's above that. So
exactly.
us being destitute and coming from these destitute communities, that plays a major factor in it as well.
It's like they say, right? You're a product of your environment, right? And
Product of
unless we
your
step,
environment.
yeah, if we don't step out of it, um, that's what we're gonna grow up to be. But I mean, it's far fetched, right? Like, who can really afford fucking a vacation out of where you're at? Like, I've never been on vacation personally, you know. I mean,
Most of us can't.
I can't even say I can't even say I took my kids out to like Disneyland when they were little because I didn't have the money for it, you know.
Right,
Me
right.
neither.
So
And that's the
it's
things that they should be
yeah,
providing to take the kids to Disneyland or to these, locations because they get in billions and billions of dollars, to fund their operation, their things that they need to do, but they're not funding for let's get this parent a washer and dryer that could help them, let's get them a
yeah,
car, a
yeah,
reliable car, go down here to Honda and get this
yeah.
parent a van or something, not
They
to
don't want to do that.
help.
They're trying to keep us down, is what it is, you know. Um,
Yeah, and disarm us and
yeah, exactly.
dischildren us
Yeah,
and it's not okay and we're not standing for this anymore. We tired of these laws that are built to alienate us from our kids. They're talking about 12-year-olds can make the decision to stay in a group home or whatnot.
yeah,
you
yeah.
know
That's insane. Yeah,
this
that's
is
insane.
absurd.
I
These
mean,
situations.
and if they're gonna come in and help, try to help the family. Do your due diligence and investigate what the situation is instead of just assuming that that's what's going on. You know, um, uh,
Yeah,
it needs to be
absolutely.
regulated. You know, it needs to be regulated because there are kids that are being abused. There's no denying that. You know,
There's
but
this
Absolutely.
there's this guy that has a question for the panel. That one guy says, why do y'all keep talking about government funded programs for your kids to do after school? Stop relying on the government and become self-sufficient.
okay,
Well,
how do you
if
become self sufficient when you're working 3 jobs just to fucking pay your rent?
Yeah, and if we would have got that 40 acres in the mill, in the mule, we wouldn't be talking
Yeah,
about none of this going on right now. By while we talking, LA Board of Supervisors, legislators, we need our 40 acres in the mule. We need it.
yeah. Well,
Thank you.
yeah.
We need my perspective, my perception as an individual, we need wage increase that's realistic, that
Yeah, but
can match,
no,
huh?
they raise they raise the wages, but they raise the prices
It's
at the
not
same time.
realistic though. It's
At
not
the same time,
realistic.
they raise everything else. They give you
They can raise minimum wage and give you $20 an hour, but rent is increased by
yep,
40%.
Exactly.
Right.
So
We need
it's
the
not
wage.
realistic. All they
Nope.
doing is all they doing is continuously creating poverty-stricken conditions to where we
Yeah.
can never get ahead.
Exactly.
They
Exactly.
create this illusion like, oh yeah, we're going to help the people. We're going to give you wage increases. We're going to give you insurance, and the insurance only covers so much. The wage
Exactly.
increase it doesn't keep up or equate to the cost of living increase. I
It's
mean,
like
I mean,
they're playing a finger in our mouth all the time, you know?
they
And here we
playing
go.
Yep.
So,
us.
so
Yep.
it
We
fucking
need the
sucks, you
same
know?
wage
Yeah.
amount that the LA Board of Supervisors is receiving, that the assembly members is receiving, because they are millionaires in these offices. You know what I'm saying? And we need the same amount. We work hard just like them.
Yeah, it's like I think it was Bill Burr, the comedian, right? He says like all these we got all these politicians right there. They don't earn a lot. They don't make a lot of money, but they come out of their fucking millionaires. You know how is that? Well, what are they really doing for us? You know what I mean?
Private deals.
Exactly.
So I can
Yeah.
have a groundbreaking technology or a medication, and if I can get legislation to pass it and get the FDA and the USDA say that it's fit for human consumption, hey, I don't mind giving you guys $250 million
Yeah.
just so we can get this passed, and I can make $50 billion. So it's
Yeah.
a lot of palms being greased when it comes to us, the people that they consider to be the low end people or the people at the bottom of the totem pole. But it
It's
Yeah.
comes to
called
point
pay for play.
Yeah.
pay for play, and
There
we
you go.
can't afford to even be on a game.
No.
So how do we change the dynamics? The way that
I
we
think
change the
we should demand more transparency. You know, we should demand like where's this money going to? What are you allocating this money to? You
but
know?
it's the United States government. They'll never give you that level of transparency. And that's how
Mhm.
they run game on us. Hey,
Yeah.
look at this hand
Yeah.
right here. And this hand is still in building billions from us.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah.
another individual that would like to come on stage. I'm going to bring them on. Yo, you're live. I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
see.
what's going on?
Yo, what's going on, man? Who is this?
This is Most the Great, man.
Oh,
The
Mose, what's
player
the deal
partner from
there, man?
Bakersfield. What's
Yes,
going on with you?
indeed.
Yeah.
Yes,
Hey,
indeed, man.
yeah,
What's the
man.
deal?
I just thought I'd chime in. I have two aunties who they've had foster children all their life, so
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly what the system is, and I just wanted to interject and say that, Russia, they won't even let United States people even adopt any kids from Russia anymore because of all the
Ooh, that's
LGBT
crazy.
rainbow stuff. Yeah, that's a
Yep.
law. You can look it up.
Yep.
Know this. This is crazy.
Yeah. And not just that, we have these unaccompanied minors, right, from immigrants, right? If you really get down to where it's all going to, again, I'm going to go back to slavery, free labor,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because that's what they're bringing these kids in to work for them, you know.
Right, right.
Um, and we need to fucking, if you see that in your community, call it out. Like, please, like, call somebody. Let the legislators know that this is going on in your community, you know, because people turn a blind eye to all the shit that's going on, and it's our responsibility as
Yeah, we've been reaching
constituents.
out to Jimmy
Yes.
Gomez regarding
Everybody.
all of
Yeah.
these things. We've been
You know.
ignored.
Yes.
We
Yes.
reached out to what's his name? What else his name is?
That one guy, I forget
Jimmy
his name.
Gomez.
Right? Um,
The
what is
uh
the
This needs to
Gibson
go to
guy?
Gavin
The
Newsom.
Gibson
Gavin
guy.
Newsom needs to be written in.
Gibson.
in
Mike
Gibson.
Gibson.
I reached out to him. I even went in personally to see, if he could help us. Everybody is, ignoring the situation,
But
and
why?
they're
Why, Ray?
going
Why
to
are they
go
why
and
are
sign
they
a bill
ignoring
with
us?
these people.
Why are they ignoring us?
Yeah,
Because we're
Why?
afraid. They think
and
we're
they're
afraid.
endorsing bills
No,
with
it's
him.
not because they think that we're afraid, but Big
Hmm.
Pharma
Yeah.
pays DCFS a shitload of money, the judges, the
Wow.
therapists, the social workers, a shitload of money to keep these kids over medicated.
I
They
agree.
pay the doctors
Hmm.
to come with these fake diagnosis. Oh, he has PTSD,
Yeah.
ADHD, a learning disability, this, that, and third. We have to prescribe this medication. So now what you're creating is the next wave of the next generation of people who have substance dependency issues. We
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about the
exactly,
pipeline. We
Exactly.
talk about and we
exactly.
address the pipeline from public school to prison. But what about the pipeline from DCFS to the
True.
streets of the ghetto where
Substance
young
abuse.
women are,
Yeah.
or yeah, that
Yep.
where young women are selling themselves? What about the pipeline from DCFS to prison? where
Yeah.
they teach the young boys to where you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Nobody can punish you. Nobody can verbally reprimand you and lay a hand on you. There's no correction. So when they're going out in society and they behave like that, what you think society gonna do to them? They're either
Yeah.
gonna unalive them, they're gonna send them to prison, or they're gonna beat them into submission. And when it
Yeah.
comes to our young women, they allowing them to go out there to be harlots and be sex workers. And I'm not talking about anybody in a derogatory fashion, but it's time for us to stop. Not you all that's on the panel, but
Yeah.
society. It's time for us to stop pussyfooting around and call this shit what the fuck it really is. They're breaking and damaging homes. Some of these
Exactly.
homes was fully functional. Some of these
Yeah.
homes, some of these kids was brought up in a loving environment. But when you
Yeah.
take that child out of that loving environment, it creates separation anxiety. So
Yeah.
now you're inducing and now you're creating a mental health disorder that didn't exist. So when you
Yeah.
take that kid away from the parent and put them in DCFS where there's no love, there's no understanding, there's no compassion, that kid sometimes develop hatred towards the parent because it's like, why didn't you protect me? Why
Yep.
wasn't you there for me, daddy? Why did
Yeah.
this happen and you wasn't there? And
Yeah.
then they start to manipulate the kids to be against the parents because they're going to go off what the recommendation or what the suggestion of the social workers is, and they go off what the kids want. So if
Yeah.
you
That's
manipulate these kids to go against their parents and say, no, I don't want to go home with daddy, I don't want to go home with mama, now you got another kid that's going to be in there for another 2, 3
You know
years, so
what?
on and
And you
so
know what?
forth.
What they have the audacity, right, to fucking. Because I remember my son when he was 15. I took him to a doctor visit, right, and
Hmm.
he like any other teenage boy, right? He's just fucking like a jerk, right? So the doctor's like, oh well, I think he has I think like something defiant, uh, some fucking
disorder.
yeah, some defiant disorder. I was like, no, he's just a teenager. He that's what
Right.
he know. I think he has like authority defiant disorder, some stupid shit like that, you know. I'm like, you guys have a name for everything, don't you? You know, that's
They
fucking
do.
crazy. You know,
They do.
it makes me fucking
And,
sick to my stomach. Yeah,
and a lot of the times, if you change the child's diet, if you get them off that high fructose corn syrup, you get them off of that sugar, you get them off of a lot of these processed food, you'll see the change in the behavior.
yeah, yeah. I didn't know that, but you might be right. You know, you might be
Yeah.
right.
But I
It's
mean, even
a
the word of
system,
God speaks about child rebellion, right?
right?
It says, don't bring your child to rebellion. Even talking to a parent, God is talking to a parent, you know, the
Yeah,
prodigal son. I mean,
yeah,
all of
exactly.
us, even when we were children, I personally went through rebellion. I ran away from home when I was 14,
Yeah,
Hmm.
you
yep.
know, because I thought I knew it all.
Yeah, and you know that the trauma that they cause, right? Like I'm telling you, my kids are older now. When they go through the little episodes of depression, and then they fucking they lashed out on me, right? It's like, well, where the fuck were you when they took us away? Where were you? And it's like,
Hmm.
you cannot. The way I see it is like, yeah, I understand the hatred and maybe the hurt that they have, but it's not something I created. Again,
Right.
it's the system that created that, and to come back from that, it's a challenge. To
But
be honest with you,
the children don't know. They just know mommy and daddy
exactly.
isn't there as they
Isn't
going through this traumatic time. And you
Yep.
are the person that I associate with protection. Why didn't you
exactly,
protect me? And
Right.
exactly.
it creates division and it creates tension in between families because the kids' minds can't process and understand that it's a system. This is
Yeah.
horrible. This
Well,
is horrible.
you know, I just seen someone drop something in the chat. The county caused more trouble in my life than anything. And with that said, um, that is what one thing all of us should be doing every single week is going to our board of supervisors and speaking in public comment, even though they only give you 2 damn minutes. You go every week because all that is saved in the board of supervisors archives. And when you get where you're ready to sue and you get them for failure to act, you have all your evidence.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I'm gonna have to get down right now in a little bit, but I would love to create like a group or something. You know, you guys could get my information or whatever. A support group for those who are actually going through this, because when it comes to that, there's people that don't know where to run to. You know,
Right,
so
right, right. Well, without further ado, you amazing ladies, I appreciate y'all tapping in, and I pray that we can all continue the conversation off of the internet and back onto the internet. Let's exchange numbers. I got Ray number. Ray has your number. I believe I have Baby Love Substance number. I'm gonna make sure we all can communicate off of the internet and strategically find a way to where we can spread awareness. Like
Yeah,
it
and
has to
Definitely,
be
definitely.
done.
I'm on board.
keep having these meetings because we got to assemble.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
We have to assemble. I'm tired of talking. I'm
Right.
tired of talking. I want to start seeing heads spinning.
Right.
Right. So yeah, let's get back to it like pretty soon, you know, because it's an everyday occurrence. So let's just, you know, work on it and try to help others that feel hopeless at these moments, you know, for sure.
Right.
Amen,
Right.
honey.
Yeah.
Amen. That that's. I'll just give you a little testimony. Back in 2012, when because I worked for Social Security for 12 years, um, a good paying job, you guys, and that's when I was in the fight of my life, and I was still working there, and working all the way up to the 3 years of the appeal at the appellate court. And
Mm-hmm.
then when they finally ruled and they said they somewhat sided with me, but it wouldn't be in my grandson's best interest to remove him from the only family he ever knew, they couldn't uh they couldn't honor my appeal.
Mm.
And I just lost it. I lost my shit because my entire appeal was based on he should have never been removed in the
Right.
first place.
Right.
Right? So then after I lost, I had to retire because I went into a state of depression,
Right.
and my body was actually shutting down my endocrine system
Right.
because I was doing all the legal. No attorney would help me because I'm a
Right.
grandma,
Right.
right? So having to do all the legal research and writing briefs and motions, and I mean, I'm a paralegal, but it was way out of my league. I mean, I did evictions and that kind of stuff, civil litigation, not these, CPS kind of cases, because it's a whole different monster when you're fighting the government, because they are they're a state government actor, right?
Right.
So it was a year I was laid down in my bed. I had to retire from my job, and I had major depression, adrenal failure, cortisol failure, all that. So I just had to
Mm.
lay in bed and pray and cry out to God. And I was mad. I was mad at God because I serve God. And I
Right.
told him I lack understanding. I lack understanding. I've lived my life, not that I'm perfect, but I live my life to be a good person. And if they had ever done a background check, I would have passed.
Right.
They never did any of that.
Right.
So for a year, I cried out to God. And when God knew I was ready, because remember, guys, God says no, He says yes, and He says wait.
Mm-hmm.
He had me waiting until I got better. When I got a psychiatrist. They started giving me medication, and I was resting a lot. My adrenals started functioning again.
Right.
I said, this is it. I got to get back in and help other people. God came to me and He said, get up. I'm sorry I had to break your heart, but this is happening everywhere.
Mm.
Now I want you to go tell my people everywhere. And that's one thing that's been on my heart. We need to get the people who don't know anything about this agency to know about it. Because the more people that we get involved that have never been affected, they're going to be our pack.
Right.
Because in a million years, I never would have thought CPS did this.
Right.
When my daughter was carrying him, I called them for help.
Right.
Do you know what they told me?
What they tell you?
There's nothing we can do, ma'am. And I said, why? I thought that's what you guys are about, is protecting children. Well,
Right.
he's not born. He's not born yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then 9 months later, he's born addicted and you take him,
Mm.
right?
Right.
It's just bullshit.
It is. It is. We gonna change it.
That's
Most
right.
definitely.
Together,
Together. That's true.
we're called. We're
We are.
called. So we come out of our pain and we remember our purpose and we pick up our cross and we carry it.
Right. I agree with you. We're going to destroy the system. We are.
Who settled for $4 billion?
He's talking about the juvenile hall and county foster care system that just settled for $4 billion in Los Angeles County, a historic settlement, the biggest one in United States history, $4 billion settlement.
Wow. How come you guys aren't on that? Aren't you guys LA County?
You got to be a person that was sexually molested in foster
Oh,
care
all
or
right. Now I remember.
juvenile.
Now I remember. Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Now, I think he was saying that he was a part of it and he was sharing, and I appreciate Richard coming on sharing and being transparent and, just being open, but he was saying that some trauma had befallen him as a child as well. This one guy by the name of that one guy, he says, let's get to this. He says, unfortunately, a lot of this went in circles. You want to destroy the system, but at the exact same time, the programs that everyone mentioned relies on the system. Can't have it both ways. Would anybody like to speak upon that before we get out of here?
oh, I would.
If you want to call him an asshole or a cocksucker or say, man, you're a saint, whatever, please, Bill, be free.
That guy, apparently you've never been impacted by CPS, or you
Right.
wouldn't be asking that question.
Right.
That's the $1 million question, dude.
Right. I don't think I said anything that is remotely close to me saying that we need this type of system. No, what I'm saying is that we need to
We need
destroy
to
the whole
abolish.
fucking system.
Amen. From the
And
ground.
us as a community need to step up and get back to the saying it takes a village to raise a child. It don't
That's
matter if
right.
you're white, black, Caucasian. That's why we need to put our
And
racial
brother, do
right.
you know where that term came from?
Tell me.
It takes a village.
Tell me.
Bill Clinton.
Are you sure? I think it's a little older than Bill Clinton.
No, Bill Clinton in the 1997 ASPA. That's exactly what it says if you go read it. It takes a village.
I
It
think
takes a village.
I think Bill Clinton stole that. Because when I was
Yeah,
a
he stole
kid,
it from Hillary.
and I think she stole that. Nah, but I've been hearing it takes a village since the 1980s. It takes a village to raise a child.
Well, the other thing
They probably popularized it though.
in my deep research, because somewhere in my deep research it goes and it talks about who was that black leader? God, what was his name?
Jesse Jackson?
No.
Al Sharpton? The federal
No.
informant?
It came before ASPA. He was. I have to get my facts before I speak on it. But supposedly there was a black leader. I don't know why I want to say Monel, or I'm gonna find it and I'll share it with you guys when I do. But there was some leader back before the Clintons that I think was trying to save the foster care system.
Nelson? No, not Nelson Mandela, man. He from
Yes,
Nelson Mandela.
I think that's the name.
Okay, somebody said Nelson Mandela, and he was trying to save the foster care system.
From what I because I've done so much research, I have
Okay.
PTSD, so everything's just
right.
not on the top of my head no more.
Right.
But yeah, and then somehow the Clintons got involved,
Mm-hmm.
and then whatever came about.
Baby Love says we can turn this around. Save Our Children campaign. Save Our Children campaign. If they can corrupt and destroy the children, then they can destroy the future.
That's
Because
right.
the children are the future. So
That's
the future
right.
is looking real bleak right now because of government interference, creating these additional systems to find ways to take advantage of those who come from these destitute communities, and it's jacked up. It's jacked up. I feel like it's another part of. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, so I will not go into that. Let's see what your number one fan, Catherine. This is your number one fan right here. That one guy. He says you specifically didn't talk about relying on the system, but every woman on this panel did, and it's contradictory. Ladies, Hey, why you coming so hard tonight? That one guy, man. What's up with you, man? We are damaged and broken parents that's trying to put our heads together to figure this shit out. We have never been in these type of situations and circumstances. We just now discovering that Lateral and CLC gets funded from the same individuals that funds the court system and funds the social worker. So it's like a wheel within itself.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, you Mr. Smart Guy. Uh, all these
Get him.
people, all these people that have these kind of cases, guess what they're appointed? A public defender.
Right,
Guess who the public defender works for? The state.
right,
Guess why these people are losing their kids? Because their own attorney isn't even representing their case.
right.
Guess what? My infant grandson, when he was taken at 1 month old, he had his very own personal attorney. Do you know that that man never contacted grandma?
Right.
Why? The system is corrupt.
It is. It is. It is. Richard Cullen says, what's the saddest part is excuse me, forgive me. My public school education is showing in that one. But it says, what's the saddest part is for us to get paid. We have to live it out another 5 more years because they are giving us one payment once a year for 5 years. That's fucked up. For lack of better terms, forgive me for cursing so openly, Miss Catherine, but that's fucked up. So you mean to tell me that individuals have endured this trauma, being forced to live with this trauma, internalize this trauma, and then when you finally come to a point and say, you know what? Oops, we fucked up. They want to keep your money from you that you was awarded and dole it out over 5 years. That's fucked up.
Yeah, so they can collect fucking interest. Fuck
Yeah.
that attorney. If that was my attorney, I'd say, no, we want it fucking now.
Right.
Every
Right.
penny now.
Right.
No, you're not going to earn interest off my fucking back.
Right. That's fucking infuriating.
It is.
Richard Cullens, man, my heart and my prayers go out to you. You are a strong and resilient individual, and it takes an amazing person to come on here and disclose the things that you have disclosed. And I just want to salute you, man, for real. I hate that you're going through this with these attorneys and these systems to where they're keeping your money that's rightfully yours. You deserve to get all your money and start traveling the world.
Right
or do
now.
whatever you right
Amen.
now, whatever you
Amen.
choose to do with your money. You deserve to get your money and start creating programs and services that can counter what they're doing to the people.
And so he can heal.
So right.
I hate this agency. But it's a $1 billion industry.
Multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yep.
Richard Cullen says you should really look into the Arizona state laws. You can't even go to jail to get rid of your fines. You get charged, you go to jail. It's a corrupt system that us as a people collectively have to stand up and change. It can't just be the blacks. It can't just be the Latino Hispanics. Can't just be the whites. It has to be a collection of individuals standing up and saying, you know what, fuck this. This shit ain't right.
Of impacted people, because it ain't
Right.
a race issue.
It's not. But they want us to believe that. Hold on.
Right.
Somebody just
Well,
popped up.
you know, my grandson was Mexican American. But, you know, I don't know what that has to do with it, because I've been at this for 13 years. And from what I can see, they don't care what race you are.
They don't.
It's either, you know, like for me, I mean, I wasn't really considered low income. Now, my daughter was a homeless heroin addict, right? His mother and the father. But grandma wasn't. But no attorney would help a grandma.
These diabolical, cynical mother.
And you guys, it's really important if everyone could try to be on that ad hoc call tomorrow.
You send me the link. I'm going to be there. I'm going to live stream it.
I put it in the chat, honey.
Okay.
Let me know if you can see it.
I got so many comments in this chat. I'm going to have to dig and look for it.
Well, this one's in the separate chat because there's a chat going on YouTube.
Okay.
And then there's an internal chat that only has like 3 things on it. So it'll be easy for you to find.
Okay, I got you.
Because I dropped it on the inside chat, not the live chat. And it's tomorrow. That is a big deal, you guys. Because we'll be able to tell them it ain't just Arizona.
Right. It's California as well.
California, Nevada, South Dakota, West Virginia. I mean, I'm an advocate nationwide.
Right.
West Virginia's very bad right now. Missouri. I don't know if you guys ever remember that case that dropped out of Missouri, where they were on a hot mic, and they were all CPS contractors.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, someone got on their Zoom call and shared it, and they were laughing about taking kids.
Mm.
And I think that was out of Missouri.
Right. These.
And
Yeah.
and guess what? They
What?
had 35 contractors on that call, so they were all busted live.
Right.
Yet none of them lost their jobs.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But
That's what needs to start happening. We need to start seeing judges put in jail,
go to
stripped of their
jail.
pension, and attorneys stripped of their pension and disbarred.
Right.
That's part of the problem too. We
Right.
go and we complain to the bar. The bar dismisses our case.
That's true.
They're
I'm
they're
a
in
victim of that.
they're
Right.
they're in on it too.
Right.
Look at the CJP. You know how many people have complained to the CJP?
Hundreds of thousands.
And it's still going on.
Right. Where did you go, Catherine? I think we lost Catherine. So without further ado, man, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank y'all so much for coming in. My endeavor is to have everyone back this upcoming Sunday, but hopefully we can do it a little sooner, man. But I appreciate the support. I appreciate everybody tuning in, man. Please like and share, and let's increase awareness into this horrific thing that's going on with Child Dependency Court, aka DCFS CPS, man. Once again, thank y'all for tuning in. It's your player partner Bobby WAJ. Let's live in peace before we have to rest in it. Too black, too strong, and power to all people. All power to the people. Y'all stay up and be blessed. I'm gone. Good night. And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Even if it's not that many mothers on here, I'm sending my happy Mother's Day to anybody that's listening to this. Happy Mother's Day to your wife, to your daughter, to your sister, your auntie. Happy Mother's Day. If they got kids and they're female, a natural born woman, happy Mother's Day to them. Without further ado, I'm gone.